Today I am going to talk about rhetoric or figure of speech that has been prescribed in the syllabus of the 4th semester honors student. As you know, dear student, in a last class that I took through Zoom app, I talked about what is rhetoric and what is figure of speech, and at the same time I talked about the two figure of speeches, and these figure of speeches are simile and metaphor. Today I will talk about apart from simile and metaphor. But as I said earlier, I want to talk about rhetoric. What is rhetoric? Rhetoric is a kind of ornament. As ornament enhances the beauty of a person, especially a woman, in the same way, rhetoric enhances the beauty of language. So, especially the poets, in order to enhance the beauty of the language, they use rhetoric in their writings more and more. Today I will talk about three different terminologies or figure of speeches, and these are antithesis, epigram and oxymoron. These three terminologies or figure of speech or rhetoric are based on contradiction. In the previous class that I took through Zoom app, I talked about simile and metaphor. These two figure of speech, that is simile and metaphor, are based on similarity, likeness. But the three figure of speeches that I am going to discuss today are based on contradiction. So what is antithesis? If I define antithesis, I can say antithesis is a figure of speech in which two contradictory ideas or statements sit side by side. Two contradictory ideas or statements sit side by side. For example, if I say, united we stand, divided we fall. Here, two contradictory ideas, united and divided, sit side by side. United we stand, one idea, another idea is divided we fall, and these two ideas are different, are contradictory to each other. So this is an example of antithesis. Another example I can point out that she tried to kill me, he tried to save me. Here also two contradictory ideas, that save and kill, these two different verbs have been opposite verb, contradictory verbs have been used in two different clauses. She tried to kill me, he tried to save me. So this is also an example of antithesis. Next terminology is epigram. Epigram is also like antithesis based on contradiction. If I define epigram, it will be like this. An epigram is a figure of speech in which two contradictory ideas or statements sit side by side, but this gives an initial shock. Remember, this gives an initial shock. So if we compare the two definitions of antithesis and epigram, the two definitions are almost similar. There is an extra thing in epigram, that is an initial shock. If I again say the definition of epigram, epigram is a figure of speech in which two contradictory ideas or statements sit side by side. Dear students, mark here, up to now the definition of epigram is just like antithesis, but I am adding extra thing here, and that is it gives an initial shock. I am giving an example. Our enemies are our best friend. Remember the sentence. I am again telling, our enemies are our best friend. So this sentence is an example of epigram. How? Here two contradictory ideas, friend and enemy. Our enemies are our best friend. Two contradictory ideas sit side by side. And it gives an initial shock also. If you brood over the line, if you think over the line, it will give an initial shock. But after having a deeper look into the sentence, you will be understand that yes, our enemies are indirectly are our best friend because they help us in improving ourselves. Suppose in order to protect ourselves from the hand of our enemy, we shall try to improve upon ourselves, and in this way one day we will be very strong. So see here, dear students, that our enemies are helping us to become more stronger day by day. I am giving another example. Child is the father of a man. Child and father, two contradictory. Child is the father of man. Here also mark that it provides an initial shock. It creates in your mind a question: how can a child be the father of man? But after having a deeper look into the sentence, you will be able to understand that really child is the father of man. Next terminology I am going to talk about is oxymoron. Oxymoron is also based on contradiction, and in oxymoron we see two words instead of two sentences. So if I give the definition of oxymoron, I have to say oxymoron is a figure of speech in which two contradictory words are juxtaposed. Juxtaposed means sit side by side. For example, darkness visible. Mark the words darkness and visible. How can darkness be visible? Or carefully careless. Carefully careless. These are the examples of oxymoron. Dear students, enjoy reading. I will talk about the rest of the figure of speech in later lecture.